To be honest, the president's remarks I think, indicate a level of instability. It's not just shocking, it's not just offensive, it's bizarre, it is erratic, it's volatile, and I think it indicates a mental state that we should all be questioning right now, whether that's emotional, mental, what have you. It is not normal to make these accusations. It is not normal to invoke these kinds of threats of violence. And it's also not normal to also dramatically misquote, as Carolyn Leavitt was doing, what these members of Congress said. They made a very clear message to U.S. service members, which is that you do not have to obey an illegal order. And I think that's an important message to reiterate because this administration seems to be increasingly trying to go down that path.
I'm really getting worried that we have all gotten a little numb to this, that when we see troops on our streets or Trump threatening literally to try and execute Democrats, elected officials, it doesn't really matter which party anymore. We are outraged by it, and then it kind of dissipates, or we're not even outraged by it at this point. There are too many people who have not accepted this as Trump being Trump, but just wait until there's another crazy story. We can't move on from this, but we also have to realize that there is a central reason. Donald Trump, of course, has always been this way. The authoritarian tendencies have been clear from the beginning of his political career, but this is a more radical and angry and outlandish Trump than ever. He is crazier. I know it sounds crazy to say, but it's true. And it's stemming from Donald Trump's clear cognitive decline. He feels himself getting weaker physically and mentally, certainly politically, and he has to lash out. It's what happens when you deteriorate and you become more extreme. So although I think we should be talking about Donald Trump's threats as part of his bigger authoritarian project needing that level of intimidation, it also has to be recognized that this could largely be stemming from mental health problems, Donald Trump's clear decline, that no one wants to talk about. But Rick Wilson did here, and I think what is a perfect summation.
And Donald Trump's physical and mental collapse is right in our faces every damn day. He cannot string 20 words together without some wild-ass misstatement of fact. I would say that kindly. When he's not lying, his senility and his dementia is so obvious that he does not understand where he is or what he's doing. This is a president who is physically and mentally collapsing in front of America, and he's in charge of 7,000 nuclear weapons. And he's surrounded by people who know this. This is why Russ Vought, Project 2025, and Stephen Miller, and J.D. Vance, and Pete Hegseth, and Marco Rubio are all doing their own thing, because they can get away with it. Trump doesn't have a clue what's happening around him.
If Donald Trump is going to be threatening the lives of members of Congress, resulting in bomb threats, disgusting phone calls, these people walking around with twice, 3 times, 4 times the amount of security and fearing for their lives and their families' lives, if that's going to be happening every single day, because the president of the United States can just pop on Truth Social and lose his mind, like the pudding can leak out of his ears onto the phone, then I think we need some real answers about what Donald Trump's mental state is. Carolyn Leavitt is practically saying he's running a marathon every day because she's so deep into the cult, but we need actual answers. Why did Donald Trump get that MRI? Why is he going in for multiple checkups a year? They're not actually checkups. They're deep dives into his broken psychosis. We deserve answers on this, and after a former White House doctor spoke up, we're getting even more. Ex-White House doctor calls out red flag in Trump health saga. Following that, more doctors have spoken up, like a psychologist flagging a sign that Trump may be experiencing a severe cognitive decline. A clinical psychologist flagged a sign that Donald Trump may be experiencing serious cognitive decline during a podcast interview that debuted on Sunday. Trump has displayed some questionable behavior in recent days, including an instance where he snapped at a reporter on Air Force One and told her, "Be quiet, piggy." The event renewed conversations about Donald Trump's mental health. Dr. John Gartner, an author and former professor at Johns Hopkins University, discussed Trump's mental fitness during an interview with the Daily Beast's Joanna Coles on a new episode of the Daily Beast podcast. Gartner noted that Trump has admitted to taking multiple cognitive tests since taking office. Trump appears to be divulging the information to address concerns about his mental state, but Gartner said the admissions reveal a much larger problem. They said they did advanced imaging, Gartner said. Okay, well, Trump said not once, not twice, but 3 times that they had taken cognitive tests, plural. Okay, so not just a screening exam, they gave him multiple tests. We do not give people multiple cognitive tests unless we suspect there's a serious cognitive problem. We also never ever give someone an MRI unless we suspect or need to rule out a serious problem, he continued. So we know his doctors gave him multiple cognitive tests and an MRI. They didn't say explicitly because of the brain, but we can certainly be sure they scanned his brain, and they're giving him a neuropsychological battery, they're scanning his brain. If Donald Trump were just an ordinary patient and you saw these kinds of serious signs of dementia, a responsible doctor would give him both a neuropsychological battery and an MRI, he added. Of course, they're not telling us what they have in terms of the results of those tests. They're not telling us the results. We know the results, though. We don't know the exact results, but we certainly know the results. Donald Trump is in deep cognitive decline. It has been on display every single day of his presidency, and it is putting all of us in harm's way, and I don't think we should stop talking about it. We need to be talking about it more. Because, again, it is creating all of these accessory issues. Donald Trump's cognitive decline has made him more radical, more out of control, and has put us all in harm's way. If Donald Trump's broken brain can snap at any given moment and decide he's going to increase tariffs on China by 100%, if he's going to bomb Venezuela, or if he's going to threaten Democrats in Congress, then we need to know. This is a medical emergency, and it's a national security emergency, and if the mainstream media does not continue to ask questions, there will be no answers, and we will continue to be in danger. It is only because of shows like Midas Touch or Brian Tyler Cohen, or I don't want to toot our horn, but this one as well, that have constantly pointed out the blotched makeup on Trump's hands, his slurring speech, all of his clear signs of decline, that Carolyn Levitt had to answer for Donald Trump's medical problems. We know the mainstream media doesn't do it. Lawrence O'Donnell is one of the biggest critics of the White House press pool, unwilling to ask Donald Trump any serious questions and any questions about his serious health concerns. And so it is up to us, independent media, to put pressure on Donald Trump and this White House. It is incumbent upon us to talk about this every single day and point out that Trump just isn't right. He's falling apart, so much so that besides the fact that he's an incredibly charming guy, charismatic, a winner, and has a real worldview, Donald Trump was so charmed by Zohran Mamdani, who continued his campaign, not just in the Oval Office, of course, but later today, I should say, in this interview, Meet the Press.
Donald Trump, he praised you. He even said you could do a great job as mayor despite months of a bitter back and forth. Were you surprised by the warm welcome that you got?
You know, I was looking forward to having the meeting with the president to speak about the needs of the 8.5 million people who call the same city we love home, and to speak, frankly, about the affordability crisis that is pushing so many of them out of those 5 boroughs. And I found in the meeting that I had with the president a productive one, and a meeting that came back again and again to the central themes of the campaign that we ran: the cost of housing, cost of childcare, the cost of groceries, the cost of utilities. And it showed that this is an opportunity to now start to deliver so that people can do more than just aspire to struggle in New York City, but actually to be able to live there.
But did you expect it to be so chummy? What was going through your head when you were standing there?
You know, I thought again and again about what it would mean for New Yorkers if we could establish a productive relationship that would focus on the issues that those New Yorkers stay up late at night thinking about. Because so often in our politics, we try and tell people what they should be worried about, what they should be concerned about. But when you actually ask New Yorkers and you listen to them, you hear it come back to the issues that animated not just the conversation the president and I had with the press after our meeting, but frankly in the meeting itself. It was a conversation where we spoke about the need to deliver on this agenda. And I appreciated that when we had that meeting, it wasn't just in the Oval Office. He also took me into the cabinet room, and there we were looking at portraits of presidents of years gone by, and we admired a portrait of FDR. And in many ways, when I think about the candidacy that we've put forward, it looks to Fiorello LaGuardia as the greatest mayor in New York City history. You can't tell the story of LaGuardia without telling the story of FDR and the story of a relationship with the federal government that finally delivered at the scale of the crisis it was facing.
Well, prior to your meeting, I don't have to tell you this, President Trump repeatedly threatened to cut off federal funding to New York if you won. The president seemed to back away from that yesterday, though, in his public comments in that joint news conference that you all did. He said, I don't think that's going to happen. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. Do you believe him when he says that?
No, I believed the president in the conversation that we had, and I will continue to make the case, both to the president and to the country at large, about the needs of New Yorkers. Because what I found, frankly, is that New Yorkers have grown tired of being asked to believe in a system that has delivered very little for them. They're tired of a politics that expects everything from them while delivering little. And what they want now is a politics that can see the scale of the crisis in front of it and actually start to work together to deliver on that crisis.
You know, you ran a campaign, though, saying that President Trump had not delivered on his promise of affordability. Did anything that happened in that meeting make you think, yes, he can deliver on that promise for Americans, for New Yorkers?
Well, I spoke to the president about the fact that while our campaign technically began on October 23rd last year, for many people, they became aware of it after the president won his election. And when I went out and spoke to New Yorkers, asking them who did they vote for and why, in two neighborhoods that swung most significantly towards the president. This was Fordham Road in the Bronx, Hillside Avenue in Queens. And I shared with the president that when I asked those New Yorkers why did they vote for the president, they told me again and again it was cost of living, cost of living, cost of living.
I am always going to be playing clips of the soon-to-be mayor of New York, and I think y'all know why, because this is the affirmative agenda, the aspirational vision that we need at the end of these long days of Donald Trump. Someone who can speak not just in full sentences, but full sentences that actually mean something. And we are going to keep playing those clips on the show. If you want to support that and tune in for those, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.